So chapter 12, text 17. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, he does not get what he desires. If he does not get what he desires, he's not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspiciousness, auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He's prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. So, does that sound like somebody who's a stone? What kind of a person does this sound like? Emotionless, feelingless, is that what we're going for? Indranath?
No, Prabhu.
I don't want one-word answers. What does it mean when we're hearing no one who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things? Such a devotee is very dear to me.
Prabhuji, like it means that that person is totally dependent on Krishna.
Okay. What else? Rahul Prabhu? Or Akshat? Akshat is saying sadhu.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, as the material world is temporary, so the devotee understands the temporary nature of the material world and doesn't choose to get anxious or get emotional over the things that is actually temporary. And we have a fake, we give fake meaning to it, thinking it's ours or it's supposed to happen in our way, but it doesn't happen. So it's just understanding that it's temporary.
So is a devotee emotionless is what I'm asking.
No.
So what does this mean? What does this text signify? What's the right way to describe such a person?
That devotee is dependent on Krishna and doing seva and devotional activities, but nothing in the world, this material world, bothers or stops that person from doing his seva or duties. Even if it is a loss, a gain, nothing actually matters.
Okay. Anybody?
Prabhuji,
yes, Pradeep Prabhu.
प्रभु जी व्हाट इसमें ये कहा जा रहा है कि जब हम सब कुछ संपूर्ण भाव से हर चीज में कृष्णा को देख रहे हैं तो होता कैसे है कि हर चीज को देखने का यानी कोई भी ऑस्पिशियस एक्टिविटी हो या अनऑस्पिशियस जो भी मेरे साथ हो रहा है तो वो कृष्णा ही मेरे लिए कर रहे हैं और मेरे लिए वो हमेशा अच्छा ही कर रहे हैं ये एक थॉट प्रोसेस रहती है तो उससे क्या होता है कि हमें हर चीज में पॉजिटिव ही दिखाई देता है तो इमोशनलेस तो नहीं होता है पर उसमें इमोशंस होते हैं पर वो इमोशंस कहीं ना कहीं मेरे लिए कुछ अच्छा ही हो रहा है और भगवान ही मेरे लिए कर रहे हैं ये भाव से होते हैं
Okay. Anybody else wants to take a stab at explaining that? Okay. Yeah, so you guys are more or less right there. So basically, a devotee understands the temporary nature of material life. As a result, one is not surprised when things go up and down, because in chapter 2 itself, Krishna says that Matra Sprashasta Kanteya Shita Ushna Sukha Dukkada. that as soon as the senses come in contact with the sense objects, when you see something, you hear something, you taste something, you smell something, there are two options: happiness, sukha, or dukkha, distress. There's only two options. And based on that, life moves on, right? There's only ups and downs, but it's like changing seasons. So for a devotee, one who knows that this is the design of the Supreme Lord, they're not bothered. They're not emotionless. They notice it, but they're not bothered by it. They're not moved by it. So in the scriptures, the example that is given is that of oceans, right? They say the mind of a yogi is like an ocean. All these rivers gush in with so much force, with so much water. And the yogi's mind is like the ocean, which doesn't change its water levels. It doesn't get moved or disturbed. When you see those National Geographic videos of the waters of Amazon flowing into the ocean, or even Ganga flowing into the ocean, you see the ocean is as calm as possible, even though the rivers are coming in with a lot of force. So the urges, the circumstances, the situations might be very, very dire. But one who has faith in Krishna, and like Pradeep Prabhu was rightly saying, one who has faith in Krishna, one understands that there is a purpose behind it. Of course, there is my karma for which I'm suffering or enjoying, but because I'm a devotee, Krishna is using that particular karma, that particular circumstance to help me develop certain qualities and bring me closer to him, right? As long as our goal is clear, that through bhakti, we are trying to be close to Krishna, we are trying to deepen our relationship with Krishna, then every activity will make sense in that frame of mind. That this is another opportunity to deepen my relationship, to develop qualities, to move towards that spiritual goal, as well as solving the material goal. It's not like we don't take care of a material situation. If one has lost a job or incurred a loss in business or whatever else, of course we take care of things. But once we get bothered or bogged down or stressed, the prefrontal cortex shuts down and we can't make clear decisions, right? So bhakti allows us to be stable, high performing, keep our brain fully functional, because stress shuts down the brain, so we can't think properly. But when we're not stressed, we can be high performing in a high stress zone and make our decisions wisely, make the right choices, and move on from one circumstance to another circumstance. Whether it's good or bad, whether it's stress zone or high enjoyment, yes, all good. Life will never be the same again. I still remember when I got my first investment, I was sitting on the 25th floor of my apartment building. You know, my apartment was on the 25th floor, looking over Lake Michigan and seeing the sunset. And I was like, life will not be the same again. And of course, we had our difficulties, we had our crashes. So there were problems. The point is, too much happiness makes us think nothing can go wrong. Too much distress makes us think nothing can go right. And in both cases, we lose the perspective to make the right choices because we are blinded by the emotions. We are blinded by what is happening now and missing out what can happen in the future. But being equanimity or equipoised, that means equal in happiness and distress, right? Something good happened, fantastic. Something bad happened, okay, we'll survive it. The person is moving forward no matter what. And that's very, very important in terms of becoming successful, whether it's Arjuna fighting the war, or we being in our business or job or studies, wherever we are, it is important that we can have that level of steadiness in our mindset. Now, I will say one thing. It is a little easier for men to be steady in this kind of situation than women. Because women by nature are designed, not all women, but most women by nature are designed to be on the emotional side. Men by nature are designed, again, most men, not all men, are designed to be on the logical side. It's not good to be extreme on either of them, but men tend to do this better than women. The reason for which men become sannyasis, men can do brahmacharya life. So in spiritual life, if you see the austere aspects of things, men are given that privilege, whereas women are not as encouraged to go in those directions unless they're extremely qualified, different. Like Lord Nityananda's wife was a spiritual master. I was just recently in Radhakund, and one of my favorite places to visit in Radhakund is Janava Devi's Bhajan Kutir, where she would chant the holy name of Krishna. She's one of my inspirations. And she was a woman who was the guru of all the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, in Bengal, in Orissa, in Northeast, right? This entire region of Vaishnavas were led by one woman, Nityananda's wife, Janava Devi. And she was an exception. And there are many such exceptional women. But I'm just saying, generally, men find it a little easier, women find it a little harder in these aspects because women are more emotionally driven. I don't mean to be gender biased, but this is just how things are. Just give me 1 second. So, where was I? What's the last thing you heard?
Javana Devi, Nityananda Prabhu's wife.
Yes, Janava Devi. So in these situations, when controlling the mind and being equanimity and all of that, practicing that, it is slightly easier when it is the masculine mindset versus the feminine mindset. But nevertheless, in spirituality, we're empowered in amazing ways where man, woman doesn't make a difference. The body doesn't make a difference. One can be very easily empowered to do anything one wants. And that I have seen personally, so a lot of times people are like thinking, oh, I'm a woman, I can't do this. But there's instruction from a guru or spiritual master, and boom, they're empowered to do something. Like Srila Prabhupada, he's known to do that all the time. There was this Mataji named Jadur, she is still there, Jadurani Mataji, and Prabhupada would ask her to make drawings. You see the drawings on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Those drawings are made, those paintings, absolutely drop-dead gorgeous paintings made by her. And one day she asked Srila Prabhupada, should I take painting lessons? Should I take painting classes? And Prabhupada says, no need. Just pray to Krishna and let Krishna empower you. And she never took formal lessons at painting. And yet these paintings are so beautiful that they have been used in many art exhibits. Even Mahabharat, done by B.R. Chopra, they have used many of the paintings in their title, if you remember, Mahabharat, right? So they have those ISKCON paintings and everything, all made by her. Recently, Modi ji also felicitated her for her painting job and everything. And Modi ji, actually, the Prime Minister mentioned her in the Mann Ki Baat, glorifying her that she not being an Indian, preserving Indian culture and everything. So like that, Yamuna Mataji, Mother Malati, in ISKCON, we have so many women leaders who've done extremely well. But I wanted to put that little statement out there that there is a difference on ease of being mentally equanimous. All right, moving to the next verse. Somebody wants to read?
May
Please.
12.18 to 19. Sama satrau cha mitra cha tatha manapam nayo sitoshana shukha dukheshu sama sanga vivarat jita. tulya ninda stutir mauni santusto yana kanachit aniketha sthira matir bhakti man me priyo nara. Translation: one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me.
Prabhuji, you are muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So we are on the similar lines of detachment where Krishna is very much talking about equanimity again, but in more details. So at least one thing, rather than getting in, okay, all these things I don't have, what do I do? One thing for sure, we can appreciate that there is an intent that Krishna has, and there's a commonality, there's a common thread that Krishna has, and he wants us to be in that detached mode. Just like water, the example given by the Vedas is a drop of water on lotus leaf. Now, for modern context, it might be better understood, a drop of water or oil on non-stick pan, right? That hydrophobic aspect, that it is there, but it's not getting sticky, right? You're in the world, but not getting stuck with the world. That is important, and that allows you to be agile and dynamic. Versus when you get stuck to things, you can't move on, you can't be dynamic. When situations change, but main to aise hi karta tha. I used to do it this way. I can't do it in the new way. I don't want to change. And then what happens? Nokia happens. Fujifilm happens. Kodak happens, right? Companies who don't evolve die. People who don't evolve become irrelevant. So Krishna is teaching us that as situation changes, we need to be agile with it. We need to move ahead with it, right? So don't get bogged down with like, oh, I have to be so this and that. It'll be nice if we have these kinds of qualities, but the gist of it is that Krishna is expecting us to be detached and not attached, not get stuck. So be able to quickly be mobile. Like I was sharing with one of my mentees the other day. Some of my mentees are here in Vrindavan from US. I was telling them, when spiritual master says, that's a stick, pick it up, you pick it up. Spiritual master says, that's a snake, drop it, you drop it. Now it might sound controversial, but that is after plenty of doubts have been cleared. You are dedicated your life and you are convinced that this is it. This is the process. And in this process, one can move forward towards Krishna's lotus feet. So once you understand that, this person is not a cheater, this is the valid path, then comes that intrinsic faith, right? Now, and dynamism. One might be given a service and suddenly the service changes to something else. And you're like, okay, we'll do that. Again, giving Srila Prabhupada's example. Sometimes, one time Srila Prabhupada told some devotees that you should go to preach in Pakistan. And as soon as those devotees left, there was apparently a Bangladesh war or something where it was very dangerous for Hindus or Indians to be in Pakistan. Now, as soon as those devotees left for Pakistan, Prabhupada sent them a message saying, hey, come back. But didn't get the message on time, but eventually they did come back. Point is, sometimes the message goes this way, sometimes it's that way. And we need to be agile enough to move with changing times, right? Demonetization happened in India. Overnight, Paytm grew by 300%, right? So that's the beauty of taking advantage of a volatile situation and acting on it quickly. So if you're able to act on things based on what the situations are, you can take advantage of it. But if you're stuck in your own ways, you struggle to take advantage of things quickly, right? So a very important life lesson here Krishna is giving us. Now, equal to friends and enemies. That doesn't mean you go hug your enemies, but equal as in they are spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna, and they happen to be having an inimical disposition towards me. But that doesn't mean I will feel harm towards them. It's just I'll avoid them. But in my mind, there is no sense of, oh, I want to kill you. No. It's just, okay, this person is friendly, this person is inimical, and I will reciprocate with them the way they reciprocate with me. That's it. That's the equality. So it doesn't mean you have to go, the Jesus Christ answer of, oh, you hit me on one cheek, I'll give you the other cheek, right? Not necessarily. It's just about, okay, the way you come to me, that way I reciprocate. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, that the way you approach me, that way I reciprocate with you. So same way, we can learn from Krishna and we can treat our friends and enemies in that way without having that bias, like I like this kind of person or that kind of person. Of course, we are humans, we will have that, but as less as possible, as less judgment as possible, especially with those we love. Especially we see judgment comes with our spouses, our kids, our siblings, our parents, because in our people who are outside, we can feel non-judgmental. It's okay, they're doing it. It's okay, that person is smoking, he'll get better. But when somebody close to us, we're like, oh, how dare you? Oh, da, 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 da. So it's important that we learn that the judgment should be as less as possible. Now, especially if you're in my position, where I am guiding and mentoring personalities, then judgment should be almost zero, right? Only then people feel comfortable sharing their heart and getting guidance. If one is judgmental, like, oh, you're this and you're that, oh, you did this, my God, you're so fallen, right? Then what happens is people are not able to become honest in their relationship with that person. So the lesser the judgment, the deeper the relationship, and the better the transparency one has in one's relationship. So try as much as possible to understand, I'm not perfect. How can I expect others to be perfect, right? And if one is in the process of Krishna consciousness, anyway, Krishna will purify it. Just like the sun rays purify the urine, purify the salt water, everything becomes distilled water and falls as rain. So similarly, if one is in Krishna consciousness, somehow or other, one will get purified. So with that understanding, one doesn't judge. One doesn't say, oh, you're so fallen, you're so bad. One just moves on like, okay, you are in a conditioned state. It is only expected. In Kali Yuga, most people are like this, and we get better as we go along in our Krishna consciousness. Equipoise, honor and dishonor. Honor and dishonor are things that happen to us. Some people say you're awesome, some people say you're horrible, especially those of you have businesses and receive reviews. I'm sure you've noticed that some people will give you good reviews, some people don't give you good reviews. And we respond to both respectfully. I was just telling a friend of mine, he was just hurling insults at people who were giving negative reviews for his yoga studio. And I was like, hey, that does not make you look like a good person. Just understand, you're not responding to that person privately. You're actually responding publicly. Just give me a second. So I told him, people are watching you, the way you respond, and that really is proving what your negative reviews are talking about you, right? So it's important. I mean, these things are applicable everywhere. I'm on social media. Somebody wrote, why are you so ugly? I mean, I can't do anything about it. It's my karma. And the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Somebody thinks I'm ugly, somebody thinks I'm good looking. I don't know. I shouldn't care about that. But my response should be equally soothing to each, or not respond, just block and delete. But the point is, if I start hurling insults at that person, what does it say about me? That means I'm affected by it. And that is not a sign of maturity. A mature person is not affected by honor or dishonor. That they know that honor is here, dishonor will come. And dishonor is, some people will dishonor, some people will honor, some people will like me, some people won't like me, and that's life. That's how it works. Heat, cold, happiness, distress, fame, infamy. So basically that's what Krishna is saying, that one is fixed in the knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. So fixed in knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the reality of what Bhagavad Gita is telling us. That this world, everything is changing, ups and downs, fame, infamy. Somebody who's an enemy today will become your best of friends tomorrow. That's life. Embrace, embrace life. That's how it works. Be agile, be dynamic. Don't get stuck in one way or another, right? I don't like these kinds of religious people. I don't like those kinds of, those countries people. I don't like those kind of caste people, right? No need for that, because everybody's different and everybody evolves over time, especially those who are in Krishna consciousness. They evolve over time. But it is also important to understand, those who are not in Krishna consciousness, they don't evolve, they sugarcoat. They learn to sugarcoat their faults. They learn to get better at being more sweet. But devotees actually can uproot the tendency from the heart and transform negative qualities into positive qualities. That is important to understand. So we say, oh, people change over time. People don't change over time unless they come to Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness is dealing with the matter of the heart, dealing on a soul level, which is very deep. There is the mental platform, the emotional platform, there's a subconscious platform, there's the ego platform, and then there is a soul platform. So Krishna consciousness is going all the way down and operating on the soul platform. So that is very important to understand, that what Krishna consciousness can do, a therapist cannot do. A person who is a friend might not be able to do. But chanting Hare Krishna, eating prasadam, being in the process of Krishna consciousness, one's heart gets transformed over time. One gets disconnected from the tendencies that have come from prarabdha karma. Like certain people cannot tolerate the smell of smoke. And there are certain people who are, drawn to the smell of tobacco. One of my friends, Vivek, he was like, I don't smoke, but I'm scared of being around people who smoke because I have that affinity and I might take up on that habit if I'm around those people. Whereas I cough and I just run away if there is smoke. In fact, there was some hotel I was staying in that was a smoking room and I started having breathing issues. I immediately changed the room. Thank God. So the point is, certain people have certain prarabdha affinities. Some people have certain prarabdha affinities, but with Krishna consciousness, all of those get uprooted in the anartha nivritti process. So for those of who it's a new word, I'll just explain what that means. As you start the stages of Krishna consciousness, start with Adho Shraddha. Adho Shraddha means little bit of faith. That's interesting. What is that? Let me try it out. Then comes Sadhu Sangha. You associate with devotees and you're like, I like this person. I like what they do, how they speak, what they how they interact with others. So you have some appreciation for a sadhu, a devotee. Then comes bhajana kriya. That means chanting, going to the temple, offering some bhoga, something, some devotional activities, bhajana kriya. And as we start this process, then comes the cleansing of the heart, which is anartha nivritti. Artha means that of value. Anartha means that has no value. Nivritti means getting rid of. So getting rid of those things that which don't have any value of being in the heart. And if you want to invite Krishna to the throne of your heart, then good to clean up the place a little bit, right? So anartha nivritti process is cleansing that. So addictions and envy, pride, illusion, all those dirty things that make us, actually it burns us. I mean, they might be bad for others when we act out of envy, pride or whatnot, but it also burns us inside. When you're a proud person goes to a place and they're not feeling respected enough, like, how dare, don't you know who I am? Who's getting hurt? It's the person who's feeling the pride. When somebody's envious and they say, how can that person do better than me? Who's feeling hurt? The person who's feeling the envy. Anger, you're feeling the anger. So it's actually burning us. These qualities, these enemies are burning us. So it's important that we understand why Krishna is talking about equanimity and detachment. Because detachment allows us, okay, so be it. That's the situation. Let me make the most of the situation. Okay, good times, fantastic. Bad times, okay, let me make the most of it, right? That's how devotees think. And if you think like that, you can actually make great decisions. I don't know if it is by Winston Churchill, but it's commonly known as Winston Churchill's statement that never let a good, what was that? Never let a bad opportunity go by or something like that. What was that? I can't remember the exact phrase, but what it basically says is when there is difficulty, try to make the most. So people who can think right can actually make the most of that opportunity. So during the pandemic, a lot of our startups did really, really well. Okay. Pani? Okay. So when we go through certain difficult situations, some people are able to monetize that situation to their advantage. Some people are able to utilize that situation to grow. Some people get bogged down by it and they become victim. But regardless, not everybody can use a bad situation to their advantage. I understand that. But at least when your mind is open and you're not stressed out, you can actually think of how can I use a situation to my advantage, or to develop a quality, or to become closer to Krishna, or to become more detached, etc., right? So in a bad situation, one is thinking how to make it into a good situation, into the best situation it can be for me. And in a good situation, okay, great, thank you very much, Krishna. I'll use the situation to make my next circumstance even better, right? Use it as a ladder to move forward. Bitad is asking a question. He is not worried no more about success, failure. So he has emotion, but that emotion is Krishna oriented now. Yes. Laptop 80. I don't know who that is. Tell me know your name, that'd be great. An optimist.
See, I'm not able to change my name. Neera Dubey.
Oh, okay, I see. Rename. You should be able to change your name now. Okay, let me quickly check. An optimist sees an opportunity in every calamity. A pessimist sees a calamity in every opportunity. Very well said. Absolutely. And that vision of optimism is only possible when we think straight. When we don't think straight, we make stupid decisions. Like going through a breakup, that's when people make the worst decisions, right? That's harmful to themselves and sometimes harmful to others. Or when one is being, in a pressure environment, it's very easy to manipulate that person. A lot of companies do that. They put people under pressure just to manipulate them and get the most out of them, put fear in their hearts so they can exploit them, right? You cannot be exploited when you're Krishna conscious. You cannot be exploited when you're in this mindset that Krishna is talking about, that you neither are bothered by fame or infamy. You're not bothered by happiness or distress, right? You cannot be any situation like, okay, this is my situation, let me make the most out of it. And thereby, we will move forward. Okay, Vedan, Prabhuji, you're looking at. Yeah, I'm not eating much, sleeping much, so I'm losing weight. All right. Moving to the next verse. Somebody wants to read the next verse? Pradeep Prabhu, you want to read?
ये तु धर्मामर्थमिद यथोक्त पर्युपासते श्रद्धाना मत परमवा भक्तासो तीव में प्रिया. Those who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
So from being dear to Krishna, now we're talking about very, very dear to Krishna. So those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, who completely engage themselves in faith, making me the supreme goal. So in everybody's life, there is a priority. Right? Priority is sometimes money, sometimes health, sometimes something else. But if those priorities are aligned with the goal, then we move forward. If there's no goal, then we move sideways here and there. We're kind of struggling around. So it's important to understand, to have a clear goal of where am I going, just like a GPS. We get in a car, we set a GPS destination, and the GPS tells us here is a path, here is the path 15 minutes shorter, here is the path that has a lot of traffic, and then we decide, okay, I want to go through this path. Right? So similarly, in life also, it is important that we make that understanding. We understand the goal. We have a set goal, and based on that, we realize what path to take, which is best for that reaching that goal. So, for example, I was just talking to again another mentee of mine. He got an offer from Amazon. Amazon is trying to make data centers, and they're offering a job that would be in a place which is not close to any ISKCON community devotees. And he decided that, you know what, I'm making enough money. Amazon is paying me more, but I don't want to take up that job because it is not near a devotee community. I like to be in the devotee community. I like to serve in the temple. I like the association of like-minded spiritual aspirants. So what he did was he took the Amazon job offer, negotiated with his own company, and they increased his salary. So he got the salary he was supposed to get from Amazon, but he's not having to move from his existing location, which is where he's very happily serving in the temple and doing wonderful activities. So when the goal is clear, then one can make such a decision. When the goal is not clear, you're like, oh, Amazon. Okay, let's go. Wherever Amazon is taking me, it's giving me more money, so I should go there. But then he's able to make the same money, but his goal being Krishna consciousness, he is able to also take care of his spiritual goal, and he's not losing out on the money aspect also. He's happy in his current job, and they have increased his salary. So when the goal is clear, we know how to act in any given situation. When the goal is not clear, we are just going here and there. And at the end of our life, or in the middle of our life, we have midlife crisis. At the end of our life, we have regrets like, oh, what am I doing? I did all this, but I'm not happy. I have all these diseases and no one loves me and I love no one and I can't trust anyone. What's going on, right? That's what we end up having. Versus a devotee is happy that, hey, I've used my life to the best possible extent. I have worked always to make Krishna happy. And given my situation, given my, opportunities, I've made the most out of them. I have no regrets. And that's a great feeling to have. Like when I look back at my 20s, my only mistake I can say that was in my control that I didn't do is going to Shark Tank. Other than that, I really have not I've made lots of mistakes, but they were not in my control. But within my control, I have made good decisions in my 20s. And hopefully in my 30s also, I will continue to make right decisions and good decisions as we go along. Of course, there are certain things that are out of control, but that feeling of like within my capacity, whatever I could do, I have done, and I have no regrets where I am. I'm given my 100%, and Krishna has done his part, whatever that is, and I'm totally satisfied with it. That's a satisfied life. Recently, as you know, I had a terrible accident. I slipped and fell into Krishna Kund, and I ended up on my backside and hurting my spine. It was horrible. Anybody who saw that over there, they were scared. And apparently I died for 15 seconds. My breathing wasn't there. I was not swallowing anything. Eyes were gone. In my mind, it was actually a very, very nice experience because it was a spiritual experience that I might not share the details of it, but it was something very, very special. Falling into Krishna Kund. But as soon as I opened my eyes, I was like, whoa, what is this? Where am I? Why are people looking at me? And then I had that pain in my back. I'm like, oh God. And I realized, oh, I'm Maharaj's Yatra, I'm in Vrindavan, and it just fell and I'm hurting myself. But the point is that coming so close to death, am I going to die? I was like, yeah, it's fine. No regrets. If this is my time, so be it. I've done everything possible to do good for others, to good for myself and good for my family. No regrets, right? I'm ready for death at any given moment. That's a feeling that is priceless, right? To be ready for death, embrace it anytime. And that happens when you are Krishna conscious every single day, when you are detached from these things and you can make right decisions as you move along in life. And that happens when you have the supreme goal as Krishna, right? So one who engages themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. That's what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. I'll pause here and see if you guys have any questions. You can unmute and ask.
Prabhuji, you mentioned your recent experience. Do you feel like it could be a test?
Maybe.
Because last time I remember you shared a similar kind of experience where you were thinking like if I die right now I'm going to go to Krishna, and then something happened. You were thinking about your mother, and then you realized, okay, I'm not ready yet. Then now it is happening now. Then you are thinking that I am ready now. At any moment, like it could be like I'm just connecting
It
the
was not a
dots.
test. There's two things that's happening when such an incident happens in a devotee's life. A devotee sees it in this way, that my karma might have led to something much worse, but Krishna is kind, so he has reduced it to a very, very, very minute degree. Like, God forbid, if something happened to my spine, I don't know what kind of long-term effects it would have. But by Krishna's mercy, it was just, at least so far, I've not done X-ray. Once I go to Kolkata, I will. But so far, it seems it's okay. I can move around. I can do things. So most grateful that is the situation. And where did I fall? I fell in Krishna Kund, where Krishna took a bath himself, right? Even if I died there, guess where I would go back to? So in my sense, it's like Krishna's mercy. That's what I see. I don't see it as a test. I see that I had a bad karma and it has been reduced to something very insignificant and taken care of, right? Not only that, it's very funny when my best friend was close to me when this happened. And as soon as I opened my eyes and the doctor was right there, right? This is a physiotherapist doctor who knew exactly what to do. He's a spine specialist and everything. So, I mean, what are the odds?
Wow.
What are the odds?
Wow.
Such a person is right there. His car, he had all the medicines, he had the belt, he had everything ready exactly for this kind of a situation. It wasn't planned
Wow.
by anyone. Krishna showed me something. And my best friend, Ishodanandana, came to my ears and said, because I was being carried by people, he said, when you fall, devotees pick you up. And he walked away. And it's so true. It's a proof because, I'm not married. So my mother always tells me, oh, when you get old, what's going to happen to you? Who's going to take care of you? This, that. And it was a valid proof in front of me, Krishna showing to me, I will provide you, whatever you lack. Yogakshemam Vahabhyaham. So I don't see it as a test. I see it as A, dealing with the karma, and B, a validation of Krishna consciousness, that Krishna takes care of his devotees somehow or other, right? And it couldn't be a better example than that. In fact, it's a faith building exercise for me that, wow, this really works. What are the odds? I was on the lap of the doctor when seconds after this thing happened? What are the odds? So
Wow.
it's not a test. It's Krishna showing I'm there for you. Don't worry.
He lined up everything.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean bad things don't happen to devotees. It's not like devotees don't die, right? But for me, it was a reciprocation. I saw something that made me even firmer in my faith.
Yeah, because I was feeling about that also, because I went to Mayapur and I saw Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and like he had a stroke in, I feel, 2008.
Yeah.
And then he left side, he is not being able to talk and all. So I somehow felt like, why is this happening to him? Like he's such a, like, see, he's
So
such a
in this
pure
case, it's
devotee.
very different. He is a guru, and a
Yeah.
guru is somebody who absorbs the karma of his disciples, which is a very risky business.
Yes.
And many of his disciples have not, he is very merciful. He doesn't make people go through too much tests before he gives initiations. He's a little liberal in his initiation. Like my Guru Maharaj is very strong. Like you have to do this, and he will watch you for years. You know, like my mother and aunt got initiated after 8 years. I also got initiated after 8 years of practicing Krishna consciousness. But in Jayapataka Maharaj's case, sometimes even 6 months one gets initiated. And he has more than 50, 60,000 disciples. So imagine taking all that karma, and then some of the people are bound to falter and fall. And that karma goes to the guru. And so he is mercifully taking all that karma and suffering for his disciples. So in his case, being a pure devotee and a guru, it's a different thing altogether. That's why after initiation, one should be very careful, because what we do affects the guru directly. So we should be very, very careful that not to harm, because they have taken our responsibility. That, okay, Krishna, here on, I take the responsibility of this person to take them from the cycle of birth and death. So it's a very, very important and selfless move. So when you see Jayapataka Maharaj, it's not karma, it's other people's karma that he has taken over and suffering on their behalf.
Wow. Thanks for explaining that, Prabhuji.
Sure. Anybody else has any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, maybe I'll move on to the next verse. We have a few minutes here. Oh, we're done with chapter 12. Okay, let me read the purport a little bit. In this chapter, from verse 2 through the end, from Maya Aveshya Manoye Mam, fixing the mind on me, through Yetu Dharmam Tam Idam, this religion of eternal engagement, the Supreme Lord has explained the process of transcendental service for approaching Him. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and He accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better and who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman, or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Lord, of Supreme Person of Godhead, was raised by Arjun. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the personality of Godhead is the best of all processes of spiritual realization. Literally, there is no doubt. Krishna is as clear as daylight that personalism is better and easier than impersonalism. In other words, in this chapter, it's decided that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master, and from him begins to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This path is recommended in the chapter. Therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization, for the attainment of the Supreme Personality of God. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth, as described in this chapter, is recommended only up to the time one surrenders himself for self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial. In the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, one works without fruitive results. meditates and cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. This is necessary as long as one is not in the association of pure devotee. Fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness and pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo the step-by-step improvements in spiritual realization. Devotional service, as described in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, is more congenial. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. So this ends the middle 6 chapters. So we know Bhagavad Gita divided to 6. The initial 6 chapters talked about some Sambandha Gyan, who we are, how we connect with karma, nature, and all that, jnana and all that. Then the bhakti, the core, is given 6 to 12. And then we will unravel what comes in the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So I'll end it here. And our last,
Prabhuji.
yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So when I went to Mayapur, you asked me to look for the air, like how I feel about the air and all. Why did you say that?
That's my personal realization. So when I first was in Mayapur, I didn't know anything about the buildings and the facilities. By mistake, we had, in the hot, scorching summer, we had booked a room that didn't have any AC. It was Gada building. At that time, Gada building rooms didn't have any AC. And I am a guy who cannot sleep. And it was my first experience. I was very, very new to Krishna consciousness. And I said, I heard this place is filled with Lord Chaitanya's mercy and I can't even sleep at night. The moment I thought like that, the window just burst open and there was a stream of wind that kept on flowing. It was so cooling and so loving. I just slept like a baby. And since then, now I know where to stay and everything in Mayapur. But whenever I go to Mayapur, that wind that just comes by, I feel like this wind has touched Lord Chaitanya's body and has that quality. Everything has a quality of Lord Chaitanya. Even Narsingadev, being Narsingadev, is in the mood of Lord Chaitanya in Mayapur. Right? So everything has a soft, moon-like, loving,
Yes, Prabhuji. I also felt like it like every matter is a next level of subtlety, because the air felt subtle. Even the matter, like I stepped on some metal stick and all, it didn't hurt me at all. Like it was really spiky. I could have bled, but it didn't happen anything. Like then I thought, okay, it might be like the matter could be subtler than the other places that I have
the
been
Dham
to.
is actually a spiritual world. Like I'm in Vrindavan. I was just sharing with Rishikesh Prabhu that Dham is a personality. It is actually not different from Krishna. So the laws that act here are not just material laws. It is, you are in Krishna's zone, you're in the spiritual world, and everything has a purpose. Everything subtly is encouraging you towards Krishna, right? So what happens in the Dham should not be just taken as, oh, it's just a coincidence. It has a purpose behind it. Because it is the spiritual world. So Mayapur or Vrindavan is definitely that. And everything happens there. If you look deeply, you will see Krishna's hand is somewhere involved.
Yeah, I definitely felt it, because like I've been there for 2 days, and then I was walking a lot. I didn't know like how much I was walking. I don't have much experience in walking and all. Now yesterday I was seeing my phone, like it turned out I have walked 26 kilometers. I don't know how. I have never walked that much. And like when I was going through the Chaitanya's bath place and all, like my feet was really hurting bad. And I thought, okay, like if my feet is hurting, like how can I do the parikrama and all? Then immediately it started like getting better and I could walk. Those are the things.
It's mystical. Being in the Holy Dham
Yes.
is mystical. So I encourage all of you to experience it. I really want to bring you guys to Vrindavan. God, Vrindavan is so awesome. It feels home. And I want you guys to experience it. So let's plan something, maybe in December end or so, during my birthday time. I would love to spend my birthday with all of you in
When
Vrindavan.
is it, Prabhuji?
21st December is my birthday. So any time around is Christmas time. So most people have holidays and all. So, if we can plan something during that time to Vrindavan, I think it'll be wonderful.
Yes,
Anyway,
Prabhuji, let's see. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.